looks right now. Okay, there we go. Jill, here's two other people. We're still waiting. Jill and
Hello?
Hi there. Sorry, we're having real troubles with this system, but Ian's trying to get in again.
No problem.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I'll let you go then. Okay, all right. Yeah, you're in. Okay, all right. I'll make you a co-host. Yep. Boy, oh boy, talk about trouble. Okay, let's see. Let's make co-host. There we go. Yes. All right, now your recording's going, so.
All right, thank you, Betsy.
You're welcome. I've just moved Susan. There we go.
All right. Okay.
All yours.
All right, thank you. Hello, Susan. All right. So we have a good number of us here, looks like. All right. All right, so let's see here. We have a quorum. We got Representative Rusk, Cassiere, Gauthier, myself, and Representative Dean Shinbrough. So we can call the meeting to order at 6:19. And I'm gonna send out an email to everyone. Representative Gauthier, welcome. It's quite the adventure getting on tonight. The links were all kind of dysfunctional.
Just goes along with the rest of the world right now.
All too true. All right. Has anyone got a quick connect for Bruce Flax? Do we know if he's going to make it tonight? I was looking for his number in my phone.
He was on waiting in the waiting room or whatever. So I'll text him.
No, he's not in there. He's not in there right now.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's not on the attendees list right now. So.
I just messaged him.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll go with what we got for now for expedience sake. I thank everyone for bringing in their drafts, all those who have. I just threw up my list of goals and priorities on the document. I'm still working on my overall recommendations. There's still mostly an outline form. But we do have a little bit more time since the town manager wanted to meet next week. I kind of open up that meeting broadly to any concerned citizens or concerned police officers that want to speak and share their feelings about any sort of civilian oversight or community relations board. So that will be on the agenda for next week. And so if anyone has anyone that they want to invite as far as like, people who have thoughts on these matters that, can share them or are interested in sharing them, I encourage that to have them attend next week. And then, and then the week after that, we'll have a very short meeting right before the RTM meeting. Hopefully just to kind of close out the discussion on the draft and get to a point where we can finalize everything. Representative Gauthier?
Yeah, Bruce just said that he's still getting the same message, that he tried the link again and he's in the waiting room. I'm gonna send him my link and see if that works.
Yeah, see, maybe the link that Betsy sent just a few minutes ago, a new email.
He might be using the one from Lisa Hilton instead of the town of Groton staff. That happens to me a lot.
Yeah, let me just also say that there are a bunch of different meetings set up for this committee. Lisa set them up, and so he may be grabbing the wrong one.
Right.
Yeah, I did that. All right, so roll call. I got everyone here that's in attendance right now.
Ian, this is Sima. I just wanted to let you know that Bruce and I have been corresponding, so I did just text him and email him the link I used, okay? I wasn't actually planning on coming on because I have another meeting. But after he texted me, I thought I would pop on. So I'll just be on for a little bit and then I'm gonna probably segue off. But anyway, nice to see you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Ian,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I also have limited time tonight, so
Okay.
just letting you know if I step away.
Yeah, so long story short, yeah, we're working on the draft. It looks like a lot of people have gotten some good stuff in. I was just kind of skimming over that before I got on, and looks like we're in good shape. I'm going to start trying to polish up that document a lot, so I would encourage everyone to keep an eye on the Google Doc and maybe check in every couple of days and, use the comment section, as far as like anything you think is missing or anything that, needs to be tweaked in that regard. The minutes, well, I'm sorry, I'm all out of sorts here. Communications and reports. Does anyone have any communications and reports they want to share? All right. And approval of minutes. I was not able to get the minutes. I had a very busy week. So I don't have the minutes on hand yet for the last week's meeting. So I'm gonna have to bump that to next week. So I'll have like a double tap of minutes to approve next week. Now, so that brings us to new business. So we can discuss the draft report. We had discussed a few weeks ago about having everyone compile a list of goals and priorities that they feel like any sort of body, whether it's a community relations board or a civilian oversight board, whatever form that is, like what sort of goals and priorities you'd like to see that body have and achieve. And then alongside with like the more expanded recommendation form, which I saw Representative Gauthier, Cassiere, and Rusk. I haven't had a chance to take a look at, to skim through yours yet. And it's all just been skimming, so obviously there's a lot more in depth to review. And Representative Flax also I saw, welcome, glad you made it. So yeah, so you sent in your comments as well. So I'm going to start kind of putting that all in the document and trying to tweak it and make it read smooth in a smooth fashion. And so that's all, subject to review and perusal. So I was just going to go over the, I went over briefly the upcoming meetings. Lisa Hilton asked me to kind of throw together, like, if it's going to be more meetings, then to like get the agendas all together. So that's what was reflected in the agenda. So rather than reiterate what I just said or reiterate what's on the agenda, does anyone have any discussions on either the draft report items or the upcoming meeting agendas?
Ian, I'm sorry, I do. Could I,
Yes.
are you planning on just compiling what everybody has written, or are you going to try to make it into one document, one cohesive document?
My goal is to have everyone have their own individual section where it's their comments. And some of those comments are already well edited, well footnoted, and very thorough, and don't need any adjustment or slight polishing for grammar and you know, formatting. And others are a little more rough cut. So all I was going to do was just kind of like, you know, but I'm not going to mess with anyone's intent or words, and everything's going to have the final review on what's in there. You know, but yeah, those sections, the recommendation section, each member will have their own say. You know, I'm not going to, there will be a group consensus, but I figure like the consensus is going to come out of reading everyone's individual goals and priorities and recommendations. And then from that, you know, I'll probably see about like 6, 7, 8 items maybe that, you know, I could put as a consensus on the group, you know, on that section. But I want everyone's individual voice highlighted and featured. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Questions? Yes.
Do we have anybody confirmed to come speak to that meeting yet? Or is it just going to be the members of the two committees?
We have the town manager, and I put out an open invite for concerned citizens and concerned police officers that, you know, want to share their concerns with the body, and have their concerns kind of reflected in the report in some fashion. I don't have anyone confirmed as yet. I have put out some feelers, but I haven't heard anything come back yet. So I encourage anyone and everyone on the committee to reach out to anyone else, any voices that we haven't quite heard from yet, or you feel should have some say in this, or has something to say. So I mean, the Groton Youth Collective in particular, I know that you had a connection with them, Representative Gauthier. This would be a great opportunity for them to come back around and, you know, share their thoughts. All right. Well, I don't want to like bog down. There's a lot of reading and writing I have to do. So I don't want to like monopolize people's times. And Representative Rusk identified she has another meeting to attend. So if Representative Dean Shinbrod, are you in process of compiling something?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great.
I should have it to you by the end of the week.
Okay, that's fine. So Representative Flax, I got something from you, and Rusk, Cassiere, Gauthier. So I think we're down just Representative Hanscom, Richards, and Dean Shinbrod. So we're in good shape. It's all coming together. Just need a little more time. Representative Gauthier?
Yeah, I'm in the Google document right now, and I see you put everybody else's comments that we had sent to you this afternoon. Are you in the same section, or am I just scrolling too fast and not seeing your comments?
Refresh your page, maybe. I just dropped a list of goals and recommendations in there.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is up right at the header of that section.
Ian, could you send it out again? I'm having trouble finding the Google Doc.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, I found it. Okay, thank you.
All right, Representative Dean Shinbrock. I just sent you another invitation to share, to edit. You want to check your Gmail account? That's a good point of conversation. Has anyone else had any trouble with the with viewing the Google Doc and getting access?
Sorry, I keep forgetting to unmute myself. I've got it. It's the same document I was looking at. I'm thinking this isn't the right document. It is.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Did
bit
you
of a
just
bump.
send it? My apologies. Did you just send it via email?
I used the share feature on the Google Doc, so yeah, it goes out via email. It's sort of like email link.
I did not get it.
Okay, let me fire that up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Representative Rusk, I just added you as editor. Yeah, everyone's empowered as an editor on the document, so you can drop comments, you can adjust your own text if you go to a section, or I would just ask, like, for the factual part of the report, to let me know if you want to make an adjustment there, and we'll work together to make that happen. But as far as like the opinion and recommendations and all that, you guys can adjust your own sections as you see fit. All right, so yeah, let's I'm good with just kind of calling it for the meeting if no one has anything else to discuss.
Yeah, so are we actually going to discuss everybody's comments, at least those who submitted them? Because I think that's kind of where we're supposed to be at right now, is coming to a consensus now that everyone shared their point of views.
Right. Yeah, we can do that. You want to start?
Yeah. So I sent out mine saying, of course, I still think that there's a need to determine from the community if this is something that is actually wanted or warranted, just because we have issues already in the town securing volunteers to take on the time to do tasks. I mean, the RTM just voted, was it planning and zoning, that we reduce the number of individuals to ensure that they can have quorums to do the work. So my concern is having a body that has this much power and responsibility that can't actually do its due diligence in a timely fashion that's fair to the police officers and it's fair to the complainants. So that being said, if we know that the community actually believes this is something that's necessary and relevant and will come out and support it, then my next step after that was, if we determined to have any type of civilian oversight board, it would be in the PAC style that the city of Groton has. And I know that I think it was Representative Flax brought up very acutely that we have issues with delineations of authorities and powers there, and the town of Groton residents don't have any say on PACT. Would they have say on a town of Groton civilian oversight board? And anything that would create an ordinance in the town, you would want to apply to all of the different police departments. So I really do appreciate Representative Flax's comments to that effect. But really, I was very impressed by Representative Cassiere's comments, and I think I'd like to, not necessarily rescind my own, but I'd like to put my full backing behind what she said. I think she hit every relevant point on the head, and I stand with her and say I don't think that we necessarily need any type of civilian oversight board, especially one that is issuing discipline to our police officers who have proven that they're highly professional and highly committed to being transparent and being accountable. So those are my comments.
All right, thank you. Does anyone want to respond? Representative Dean Shinbrock?
I would like to. I'm always impressed at the thoughtfulness of some of the people on here, especially no shame, Lauren, but a young person, because both my children are even older than you. I 100% agree with you. I do. And with Representative Cassiere, there's a lot of thoughtfulness you put into it. And I don't really have anything I could add that hasn't already been said, honestly. But I do agree with both of you. I think you hit the nail on the head. And my biggest concern is I don't want to create a problem where none exists. And that's it.
Thank you. Yeah, so if you want to align your comments with another member or another couple members, if you could write up a short piece that just kind of communicates that in some fashion, that could work, and we could just drop that in your section. Moderator Ebbin, I see your hand up.
Well, thank you, Ian. I just wanted to make two comments. One is that, the charge of this body isn't really to recommend oversight board, it's really to research it. And so I would try to keep your comments to, researching models that you think work better or not. And that could be. And the other thing, since I hear a lot of consensus, is that to the extent that members agree on things, it'd be nice to kind of frame your, instead of having kind of like Lauren, and I haven't read these, I just saw them, I kind of quickly looked at the three Bruce's, Lauren, Jill, I didn't really look at Jill, sorry, I just was looking, trying to find the link to send Bruce. To the extent that you can, have text that you can get consensus on, I think that should be highlighted. And then maybe if there's parts in the back where you can take out parts where there isn't agreement among your whole body, I would highlight that. But to the extent that you can actually have a document where there's agreement, I think that would be really powerful if there's some parts of it and I did look at Representative Cassiere's, and it is well written. So I don't know. I mean, I think that it's really good to talk about them tonight, but you might all have to have a little time to read them, because I don't know if you've all read all of them, all 5 of them or whatever it is. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yeah, so overall, yeah, my goal and vision for the report was to have like the factual section that's basically like all the categorical models that's striving to be like unbiased representation of what exists out there and what exists in town currently and what options could exist, and then having sort of a consensus opinion that will come out of this conversation, or the conversation over the next couple of weeks as we get these drafts together and kind of really compare and contrast everyone's opinion.
Let me just interject, sorry. I did think I read the beginning of Lauren's, Representative Gauthier's, and I thought like the idea of having that survey just to see, what the context is in Groton was a really powerful, recommendation. And I wonder if there's consensus on that. So you might just kind of take, you don't have to, you can do whatever you want procedurally, but, that's one way you might just kind of try to tick down and see where you can get consensus. And I'm going to be quiet now.
That's fine. Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, there would be like the consensus section where, we identify all the common ground that we as committee members feel. And then based on the research that we've done, and then there would be the individual recommendations section where, we all can kind of share our own individual perspectives. And I want to structure it that way with the idea of trying to capture the diversity of this body. One of the benefits of having the RTM is that we do encompass a broad spectrum of the town, so and life experience. Representative Rusk.
Thank you. I would agree that I think we just all need some time to review all of these before we really have a discussion, but I want to discourage people from having a discussion offline so that we're not constituting a meeting that isn't actually noticed and available to the public. I'll save my comments for later. Thank you.
Agreed, and to second that notion, yeah, I've gone to considerable lengths, you know, as far as like being the chair of this body. I've tried to keep everything that we do pretty much on the record. So, you know, and that's a matter of principle. I believe that, you know, these sort of conversations should be a matter of public record, and everything should be, you know, reviewable by anyone that wants to do the research. Representative Richards.
Okay, thank you. I guess I have typed notes of what I wanted to share as well, but they weren't as polished as I had hoped to be able to do for today, but I will share those shortly. I have some goals. I kind of started with the goals that I would have, and I used the Nicole, the National Association of Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement website to really inform that. And I'll just say them briefly if I can find my document for that. So I said I want the emphasis on an effective and professional police service for the entire community, accountability for misconduct, transparency and procedures, significant efforts by the police department to continually communicate and collaborate with all of the community, particularly people and groups that are marginalized, and continual training efforts on de-escalation of conflict, mental health, implicit biases, and restorative justice approaches. As far as what an outcome might be, I think that it's very important that as the town council continues, that they're providing many different opportunities for the public to voice their concerns and desires for something like this in the process. I do like the idea of a PAC style group, which I think is something different from a civilian oversight committee. Right? A PAC style group would be some collaboration between people in the police department with the town council and some other community members thinking about how we can encourage communication and things. And civilian oversight would be really about what is happening in interactions between the police and citizens, and to review any complaints by citizens against a police officer for their conduct. And I do support having a review board. I don't think that subpoena powers and investigatory powers are called for at this point in our town. So I think a review board would be a good step to see that, if there is somebody who has a complaint and they don't feel that something was handled correctly, they have an avenue outside of the police department and in a body of people that are kind of being educated and become members of that board. And then if there's a need further on, it could be increased in some way in its powers, but I think that's where I would start with a review board. So that's kind of the direction that I see after looking at the information that we've had in front of us and doing some of my own research. And in my paper, I also include resources like where you can look to see and get information about oversight. So I will be sharing that shortly and add that to the ones that I've gotten. I've looked just briefly at the ones that have come in today. They all came in this afternoon, and I hadn't really slotted some time to be reviewing all these this afternoon, but I will be doing that soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Richards. Representative Flax?
Thanks, Representative Thomas. I appreciate everybody's writing so far, and I concur with the other members of the committee that Representative Cassiere was very in-depth and informative and appreciative of reading her perspective. I think it's a different perspective from all of ours. I think that the committee, when we are all together again, should discuss the fact that there are so many police departments in the town, and at least recognize that to the town council. And my feeling is that if there if we're not all on the same page, I can't see a reason why we wouldn't be, because we're trying to get something together for the people. And whether you're in the city or you're addressed by an Amtrak cop or whatever it may be, that the same policies hold true as much as we can. So I think it's certainly should be considered or brought forward. And then that was really the only thing I really wanted to say at this point. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative Flax. Representative Cassiere, and then Rusk.
Thank you. So for those of you that haven't read my email, I just wanted to let you know that last week I did have the opportunity to meet with members of the Groton Town Police Department with the permission of the town manager and at the invitation of Councillor Franco. And I just would like to strongly urge you to read my email so that you can get a sense of a lot of the frustration in the police department right now. They are nervous and they are frustrated with the fact that a lot of council members have not reached out to them specifically to talk to them. And I'm not sure that they're going to come speak to a body like this. So I would just like to strongly urge you to read my email. And I just would like to put out there that the chief has been incredibly transparent. I think he's really committed to putting as much information on the website as he can. He's been committed to putting civilian complaints themselves on the website and their findings. And after actually sitting down with the officers, and from my own experience as well, I just don't think that a review board is ever going to be able to be trained enough to speak on behalf of the very complicated and complex, and there's a lot of training that goes into being a police officer. And with the amount of laws that there are in the state right now, and with the policies and procedures that are in place in Groton, there's very little room for cover-ups. And it's already very highly regulated. And so with that, I just would like you to urge you to read my email in regards to how they're feeling right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Cassiere. Representative Rusk.
Thank you. I wanted to address Representative Flax. While I understand your interest in including all of Groton, I think it's important to understand that the town council only has jurisdiction over the town police. There's no jurisdiction, and the state is not going to agree to that. The city isn't going to agree to having town jurisdiction over them. And the state and the federal government is not going to agree to that. So I think we need to make sure that we are focusing on the town of Groton Police Department and what we can do in that entity. Thank you.
Representative Hanscom, and then Flax.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't get much of written up yet, and I'm still kind of figuring it all out. I think I support Gauthier's approach, but I really understand, again, what Cassiere is saying about the police force, and I'm realizing that my own personal sort of background is what's probably impacting, because my whole life I've always lived in like really big cities like DC, Baltimore, Northern Virginia, and in those communities I've often lived, you know, it's diverse minority communities, and I've seen firsthand like what has happened in situations with police in those cities, and it's obviously, you know, there's some issues in each of the cities, but for me, when I moved to Groton, I feel like, you know, the Groton police force has, you know, really done a good job of, you know, connecting with the community and really listening. And so I just feel like my fear is to create, you know, I don't want us to end up being like DC or, you know, Baltimore, where there is this real, you know, clash. So I think that's where I'm coming from. So I'm still like racking my brain, but I liked Gauthier's approach, and but with keeping in mind the, you know, the issues that are raised by the police force, because I don't want, you know, them, yeah, that's where I'm at.
Thank you, Representative Hanscom. Representative Flax?
Thank you, Representative Thomas. I just for Representative Rusk's comments, I do understand that there's no oversight to other police departments. I'm just suggesting that they're in on the conversations so that they're at least understanding where the town is coming from, and that's all. So I understand there's no oversight to the city or Groton Long Point, but you know, I know the city has established their own, but for me, I think that no matter what police you get stopped by in the town, which encompasses the city and Groton Long Point, that they're just treating the citizens and have the same transparency all through. That's all. So that's all I'm suggesting.
Thank you, Representative Flax. Yeah, maybe that's something we could work on in you know, your recommendation section as far as trying to articulate that. You know, I did note that when I scanned through your comments. I didn't have a chance. I've been taking in all this stuff real fast, so I haven't had a chance to take anyone's comments in too deeply. I did skim Representative Cassiere's email and Gauthier. I've gotten a look at pretty much everybody except Representative Rusk. I haven't had a chance to take a look there yet, but yeah. So I mean, those kind of thoughts would definitely, that's the prime location to put them, and then we can also look at as putting them somewhere else if it makes sense. But yeah, I think there is an opportunity to have a conversation amongst all the departments, at least, to create lines of dialogue. I mean, this is a great opportunity to create things that maybe we all would have wished would happen more organically. Any other thoughts? All right. So, like I said, I mean, I threw up the, I was able to get my goals and priorities kind of cobbled together a little bit. You know, we definitely have some time to kind of really get the document worked out the way we all feel comfortable with what it says and how it's presented. You know, my goal ultimately now, looking at the timeline, I think, you know, aiming for a November RTM meeting presentation could be an attainable goal, while giving us time to kind of really work our drafts over and you know, have a couple more supplemental meetings where it's, you know, just us committee members kind of getting ourselves squared away. I kind of looking at the October 7th meeting as kind of trying to be the big finish of the bringing in of new information, and then the rest of it's going to be just us kind of processing. I believe Representative Gauthier and then Richards.
Yeah, I noticed that you didn't elaborate on your comments, and I was wondering if you could, especially you're pretty much in your comments the only one that suggests use of subpoena powers. So could you just elaborate a little bit more how you see that functioning?
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely. So my thought is, you know, that at the end of the day, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And my goal, my primary goal is to create a system that ensures, you know, fair, equitable, just treatment on, you know, for all parties involved. And regardless of whoever the police chief or the town manager or town councilors are in place. Because right now, you know, a lot of what we have depends on, you know, the discretion and, you know, good character of those involved, which is great because we have some good characters involved. But, you know, there may come a day where we don't. So, you know, I'm a firm believer in checks and balances, and it just seems, you know, in the spirit of like on a national level where we have like a civilian management of the armed forces, you know, I feel like there's a place for a civilian review board of some kind that would have some ability to communicate effectively and you know, with force if necessary, with the police department. But however, at the heart of it, it being something that is trying to engender a grassroots community-based approach that, kind of keeps the lines of communication open and flowing. Now, yeah, I'm not going to die on the hill defending the subpoena power. I just would like to have it in the conversation to see what it would look like. And looking at the town charter, that it may not need a massive rewrite of anything for that to happen. There may be some ways that could happen, but as far as like through the town manager's office or through the town council, public safety committee, something like that. It could be like a pocket subpoena, because as it stands now, the way I read it, the town council already has subpoena power over whatever department they choose to use it. And so, we don't necessarily need to imbue the CPRB with subpoena power. It could just be the thing where it's like written that, it's understood that if needed, if an emergency break glass, you can break out the subpoena power from the town council or something like that. I just like to have it in conversation is all. Representative Richards.
Thank you. I heard you mention a change in the timeline. Why is there a change in the timeline? And isn't there a need to get something done earlier to inform the town council? Maybe I'm not caught up on that, but if you could explain that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Well, the town manager expressed an interest in having some time to discuss ideas and possibilities, and his availability was next Wednesday. And then just kind of looking at the mechanics of trying to get the report in a readable fashion, like get it all together and then creating a presentation. I just wanted to try to create some time to make that happen. I needed a little bit more space. That was the main thought there.
Is the town council's timeline still the same though? As far as when they're going to be kind of taking comments and thinking about what to move forward with?
As it is now, the town council will be with us. Well, the public safety committee will be with us on the 7th of October. And I'm not sure exactly what the town council overall is doing at this point, as a body. I've only been in contact with the public safety committee chair. And it my sense is that, yeah, they have it moving, but it's moving primarily through the public safety committee, and there's not a big push to get it on the floor of the council body itself. But if there's something I'm not aware of, I'd be more than happy to learn it.
Thank you.
Representative Richards, is there, are you aware of the town council doing, are they trying to bring a vote forward on something did I miss something?
I'm not aware. I thought we had talked about that in our meetings before, that Representative Gauthier had brought up there was a particular date that we should have things to the town council for their consideration. And I don't know that changed. So I was trying to understand that.
Understood. Yeah, I think initially when they first talked about it, there was some talk about it October, trying to have an ordinance on the table by October. But in reality, I know that, the Public Safety Committee has not started the process of drafting yet. So, there is time, but I don't sense anything's going to happen in October on the town council level. Representative Cassiere.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify something for the people that are watching at home in regards to subpoenas. So I understand what you're saying, Representative Thomas, about how it's good to have an option on the table, but I want people at home to understand that. I understand that there's a lot of national conversations right now about civilian review boards, but I want people at home to understand that Connecticut is already very, very regulated about what they can do with civilian complaints. So because there are state statutes mandating what a department has to do with civilian complaints, the towns and the municipalities need to reflect the state statutes, meaning that there's no covering up of civilian complaints. And my point of talking about this is because with subpoenas, a review board could look at something and with no training can look at an incident completely different than someone that is trained. And in my email, I use an example, and I like to use this example when I talk to people that don't really have any knowledge of law enforcement, because it's a really good example of showing the difference between someone that is trained and looking through a trained eye and someone that is not trained. And that is an example of someone making a complaint about being improperly searched. So a review board could look at a complainant and a video and see something completely different than a trained officer. So in law enforcement, there's case law called Terry v. Ohio. And that allows officers to search the outer layers of clothing for weapons. It's specifically for weapons. Now, a review board that is not trained could look at a video and say, yeah, they were improperly searched. And the difference is a trained officer can look at something and say, no, that was the outside layers of the clothing that was specifically in places where weapons could be held. And that's the difference between someone that is trained and untrained. And this is why I cannot support a review board that has subpoena powers, because people that are untrained do not have the same eye as trained officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, obviously, like that's going to be a point where there's going to be a good bit of divergence, and probably would not make it into the consensus section of the report, of the recommendations. That would be relegated for individual recommendations, I guess. So that's why I think there's value in having that, so that anyone that reviews the document can see, like, well, these things do exist, and there's a point and counterpoint to those options. And in the sense of being as comprehensive as we can be, I think that's that should serve well for anyone that has the stamina to read the whole document. Any other thoughts? Representative Gauthier?
Yeah, just to that point of having stamina to read the document, as we firm up all of the different sections, I think we should be conscious about the fact, if we want this to be an effective report, to not make it too tediously long. I mean, at least I know in my research, I've already read a bunch of similar reports that researched and provided synopses for different types of review boards. So I wouldn't want to reinvent the wheel and make anyone read through too much of anything. So that's just my point, just for all of us to keep in mind as we go through and edit the document.
Understood and agreed. All right. Any further thoughts? All right. Well, if nothing further, I would, I guess, shifting into other business, or just to reiterate, we'll carry forward and check in on the Google Doc. Any adjustments if I come across needing to make an adjustment anywhere, I will highlight it and post a comment. If it's anyone's individual writing that they put in there, I'm not going to make the change. I'll just highlight and comment, saying, like, maybe change the phrasing to be this way so it reads a little more clearly, or could we do this and that, to tighten it up, or to if there's sections that overlap in any way. Representative Hanscom?
Yeah, I was just confused. I was wondering, do people refer to a Google Doc, and I'm not sure I'm aware if it's like, is an existing document that's on Google Drive that you all are working on? I haven't been able to find this document, so I'm just curious. Maybe I misunderstood. I looked through all of my emails. So
That's fine. Yes, it is a Google Doc. It does exist.
It is.
And
Okay.
I'm going to send you another link now to.
Yeah, I wonder, some of the emails I've not gotten, a few random ones. I wonder if I'm just not on some of the reply alls or something. I don't know. So there's a few things I seem to have missed.
All right.
But,
So
okay.
there should be one coming through now. Saying
Okay.
really,
Also, Representative Hanscom, you all should always check your spam or junk email because sometimes things get diverted to that area.
Yeah, I do that actually. Yeah, so that's why I looked everywhere.
If you go into Google Drive itself, instead of looking for a direct link, if you just go into the Drive and then hit shared with me, it should be under there for whatever email you're using to correspond.
Okay, so if he had shared, okay, that's cool. All right, I got it. I got the email. Thanks.
Okay, great. Excellent. All right, so is there anyone else that is having trouble viewing the document? Okay. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Gauthier, so motioned. Cassiere, second.
All right. Very well then. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
And all opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Very well. Thank you all. And we'll be in touch over the next coming week.